What's up? What's up? It's time for Done Way Past Funny with your host, G.D. Fenderson. Join us as we discuss the arts, science, and business of comedy with comedians and comedian adjacent. With this episode's guest, John Verrico. It's time to get down and get dope with Done Way Past Funny. Hi, I'm G.D. Fenderson, certified forensic humorist and host of Done Way Past Funny. Thank you for joining us as we continue our interview with motivational speaker John Verrico. Enjoy. Now, I was curious because I've done live shows with people from different time zones, England.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the live show we did started at 9 p.m. So it was really so they was really dedicated. Matter of fact, I'll say his name. His name is Simon Saxby. He's a singer for a band called UK Salem, UK.
Mm-hmm.
They're just have a new album out, new CD out. I'll put the picture up since I mentioned his name. But he was dedicated because he'd be up late at night, early. Well, for them, I think they're 5 hours or 5 or 6 hours.
They're 5 hours ahead, yeah,
ahead of us. So when did you two of you do it? Because that's a considerable difference.
Yeah. Well, I've had clients that I've worked with in Japan, so they were 13 hours ahead. I used to ask them, "Hey, what was my lottery number last night?"
Yeah, that's same thing when I talk to people in New Zealand or in Australia.
Yeah, right. Yeah, same thing, right? We always do that, and I know they're all tired of the joke, but
but I'm gonna keep telling you until somebody gives me the answer.
It's obligatory. But no, Annalisa and I, we would do it. It would be late afternoon her time, so it would be kind of the latter part of the morning my time. It wasn't too bad. It was a little challenging to do while I was still working my full-time job.
Right.
Now I've got a little bit more flexibility now that I've retired from that, and so because of that, we'll be able to have a little more opportunity to be able to set up the timing better. But yeah, that is one thing that has happened that has made life better and challenging at the same time. Is that we, since COVID and the expansion of these kinds of technologies that allow us to speak to people around the world, Zoom and all those things that have really enhanced their capabilities, and everybody's using them now. We're reaching out and can cross the barriers. No matter what's going on in the political world, we can connect with other human beings around the world and realize that we've got so much in common with each other. But that also we find that there's the uniqueness of having those time differences. And how do you do a program? Like, I know when I do a webinar, how do I set it up and what time of day can I do it that my colleagues in Europe can participate, my colleagues on the West Coast can participate, and nobody's up at 2:00 in the morning in order to do it. And there really is no way to do that.
I know. I have a show that I do on Sunday mornings, a live show. It's a character, Dr. Reverend Jelly Roll, and it's called the Church of Last Resort. It's the Church of Last Resort, and it's basically a very foul-mouthed minister for Sunday morning. He does eulogies of celebrities that have passed, and then he does a sermon based on. Usually, it's based on current events or something, but it's humor, and it's a mixture of humor, but it's not meant to be a comedy show. It's meant to be I don't know what to call it. Maybe that's the following.
Is it humor and commentary? Is that what it is?
Yes. It's humor. Yeah. It's it's like I said, I guess it would be like a TED Talk if you could cuss and do the occasional dirty joke or something, I guess. But but the thing is, okay, I guess I try to give you an example. Example is I personally hate AI. Okay.
Thank you.
Personally, I hate AI, but I know it
is a great research tool. It is a great thing for compiling research and knowledge on a topic for whatever kinds of reasons that you need it. I hate it for its impact on the creative world.
Yes. Now the Reverend has a lecture about AI, and he has a solution how AI can be used in a good way. Because it if you like a lot of your shooters do it out of frustration. They're not connecting to human beings,
Right.
and they're fresh. So AI would monitor these people's posts because it can do it. It's already doing it. It's already monitoring our posts
Oh
because
yeah.
that's how it knows what we like, and it sends us more of it. So AI goes through and it finds somebody who, let's say, they can tell that they're starting to be a little more dark in their
Mm-hmm.
posts, a little more angry, and so AI actually can, because what these people are looking for, usually they're just looking for friends. So AI,
We just all want to be accepted.
right? So the AI bots start to friend them, but if they get darker, these friends start leaving and leaving comments like, "You're getting too dark. You're getting too dark. You should, if you want to make more friends, be more acceptable, be more whatever." And AI could do that and then bat them in the right direction. So AI can do that because that's what they want is followers. They want people to listen to them, and so AI can be the listening, and it calms them down, and then they don't go out wanting to shoot people, and then they learn more sociable skills. That's what AI can do. And that's what the reference thing is. It doesn't matter that the people aren't real because people have imaginary girlfriends since high school. It doesn't matter. It's just a matter that you're being accepted and listened to. And maybe some people will, you know, out of those 1 million friends, maybe there's 5 or 10 or 20 that's actually real. And that's all we need is that we don't need a million friends. I mean, nobody has a million friends.
No.
Even the most famous person out there has 5 or 10 friends, and then
Right.
maybe 30 or 40 people who like, oh please, Miss Taylor Swift, notice me. I mean, she
Yeah.
has like, but she has like maybe 5 or 10 friends. Then she has like a posse of people who
Yep.
are around her, protect her, and serve her needs. And then she has hangers-ons or
Mm-hmm.
people who stalk her and go like, and she probably sees these stalkers so much she even thinks they know them. She goes like, guy goes like, hey Taylor, and she goes like, hi, coffee guy at Starbucks, and she's like, I think I know him. I see him everywhere. I says, yeah, he's
No.
been following you for 3 years.
So for many years, my wife and I, actually my wife managed Peter Tork's blues band.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Remember Peter Tork
yeah,
and the
yeah. He was
Monkees? Yeah.
one of the monkeys.
Yes, yes. He had a blues band called Shoe Sway Blues. And Peter became a dear friend of ours. My wife managed his blues band, and it is amazing how many people. And I kind of alluded to this earlier when I was talking about having met Pearl Bailey back in 1979, and back
Right,
then people didn't feel so entitled and empowered to be part of their life.
right.
But yeah, there were people who just they lived in this fantasy world of their relationship with Peter.
Yeah,
And it happens with every celebrity. Every celebrity's got to deal with it, and
tell me
it's
about it.
just
Whew.
amazing.
No,
And
I'm just kidding.
some of those folks was like, oh yeah, here they come. And when the celebrity knows your name, that is not always a good thing
Right.
because it's like, oh, watch out, this person just walked in the door. It's like, oh crap, here we go.
And the funny thing is that the people don't realize this, and it took me a while to. Actually, I learned it when I was in elementary school. My mother was a fundraiser for a lot of campaign people in local politics in Maryland,
Mm-hmm.
and so there would be a lot of because she was a fundraiser, there would be people at the house, celebrities at the house, and we had a very humble abode. We like lived in a little like a is that I think it's a duplex where there's two townhouses attached to each
Yep.
other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we lived in one of those. But our neighbors were like,
Were you in Baltimore?
one of our neighbors was Jim Parker, the football player and dentist, and our neighborhood was we had some well-to-do people in our neighborhood, but we were like just a middle class neighborhood. Because back then, football players didn't make any money.
Right.
They made like 30, 40,000 a year, and to
Which is
supplement
where
their
they should
income,
be.
yeah, and they had bars and car lots and restaurants to make up for it. So so we'd have like politicians and some celebrities come to the house and for to help my mother organize fundraisers. And when I was in the sixth grade, we had a field trip to Washington, and we were going to see our congressman. And our congressman, my congressman, was Perrin J. Mitchell, and he had been to my house on several occasions. And so I was telling everybody, I know Perrin J. Mitchell. He's been to my house several times. He's friends with my mom. And everybody's going like, yeah, right, blah,
Of
blah,
course,
blah,
yeah,
blah, blah.
right, yeah.
Yeah,
I believe you.
we've seen your mom. Everybody wants to be friends with your mom, that kind of shit. I said, no, really, I know him. He knows my mom. And so we go to the field trip. We get to his office, and I said, and we all get to shake hands and stuff, with our congressman. And I said, Mr. Mitchell, I said, it's me, Glenn. Nothing. Glenn Fenderson. Nothing.
Nothing.
You know my mom? Nothing. Elaine Fenderson? Nothing. She raised money for you. And then he pretended.
Uh-huh.
I could still say it was nothing. But everybody else knew. In my class was like, you know Perrin J. Mitchell, he doesn't know and that's when I realized that just because a moment was important to you doesn't mean it was important to the other person. And that's what it does. So yeah, he was at our house. He was just there it was just a transaction. He was there to find out how much money was being raised and
Right,
what's his cut. What's he going to share with the other politicians
right.
there? That's all they cared about. He didn't know my mother from Adam.
But
And
then
I
I'm going
think
to turn
Adam
this.
was
I'm going to turn this around on you now, right? Because you said that what may be an important moment for you may not have been for that other person, and then realize too that sometimes what may have seemed like an unimportant moment to you may have been an important moment in another person's life.
right.
And that is where we need to remember, and this is what I do when I get out and talk, right? We need to remember that we have that impact. We have that potential to make or break the day for somebody else.
Right, because we
You know,
don't know what
one
those
of
we
the
don't
what,
know that moment could be like because we were talking about this pre thing, how most of life is uneventful,
yes.
and then a few moments in a day actually mean something. And it's so those moments are not they're not a lot of those moments. So when we have those interactions with people, make the best of them.
Yeah.
And try not to tear people down but build people up because that could be the moment in their day that matters.
And that is exactly it. I had a conversation with somebody at work many, many years ago, and we were just chatting. And she had asked me about, she was thinking about putting in for this job that she wasn't sure she was qualified for. And we chatted for a little bit. And then I wound up leaving and moving on to another organization, and I hadn't seen her. 15 years later,
Mm.
I get a connection on LinkedIn. Oh my God, John, I've been wanting to reconnect with you for all these years. I'm so glad I found you. I'm like, really? Barely remember you.
You didn't even know
Because
you were lost.
I've been wanting to thank you. Thank me for what? You spent some time with me, in a casual conversation 15 years ago, and you gave me the courage to go ahead and apply for that job, and I did, and I got the job, and I've been in the best career field in my life, and it's all because of you're just taking the time to talk to me that day. You don't know the impact you have.
No,
You just don't know. Which
I
is
know.
why I like to make sure that I leave as positive an impact on people as I can, even if it was just give them something to laugh at. And that's why, GD, and we didn't talk about this much, but the kind of humor that I focus on normally is
Hmm.
self-deprecating humor,
Right.
right? Because if we can laugh at ourselves, we've taken away the power of other people to laugh at us,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
instead now we're laughing together. And
I
that's what makes the difference.
like you. I was picked on a bit as a child, uh, and so as a matter of fact, I used to pretend to be dumb because a lot of people, in Baltimore where I grew up, if you were a smart black child, you were either an uppity nigger or you were uh, an Uncle Tom. Those are two options. Because you were trying to be white by being smart and educated,
Right.
or
Right.
you're trying to be like us by being smart and educated. It's like, no, this is just who I am. I can't help it. So I used to pretend to be dumb so that people didn't want to beat me up. You know, I dumbed myself down and I was afraid. I lived in fear for the first 20 some odd years of my life, being afraid of people finding out how smart I was. Because also in the 60s, if one of the things that we were being taught in Baltimore was that if you were a smart black child, you were a target for the Klan.
Yeah.
You know, and so I just, but my mom, once she found out how smart I was, she wanted me to be the next Martin Luther King. That was my mom was thinking, you could be like a
Oh
really
yeah.
great.
Let's draw a big bullseye on you then.
Yes, yes. That was my brother when I was 15. My brother was 17. He was 17 or 18. I was 15. He and I had this argument, and because I was a Martin Luther King guy, and he was a Malcolm X guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and you guys had to Google it to find out how.
Different kind of focus. Yep.
Yeah, different kind of. And my brother says, you know, you're a terrible.
Pete, Pete, love coming together and fight.
Yes, by any means necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So my brother got on me. He yells at me, says something like, you could be a really great bleeder. You could have been another Martin Luther King. You could have been a Malcolm X. You could have been another Gandhi. And I looked at him and I said, dead, 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 shot, shot, shot.
There you go. Sometimes it's better to stay under the radar and just make a difference where you can.
And the thing is, I wish I found a balance between being afraid and being productive. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't
Yeah.
find myself
I was too
until.
afraid for too many years.
Yes, I was, and even then, once I stopped being afraid, I still had the afraid habits. You know what I'm saying? Even though I was no longer like, it's like I'm not afraid of. I'm trying to think of something I used to be. Okay, I used to be afraid of moths, snakes, anything that had an unpredictable pattern.
Oh,
Because because I look at something and I say I know what's coming next. I know it's coming next. But with moths and snakes, bats, you don't know what's coming next. See? And so those are the things that scared me. Octopi scare me because you can't tell what they're about to do. And they're so fast when they do it. It's like, bap, I'm done it. Okay, you're dead. So
yeah.
those are the things that scare me, things that I can't see the next moment. I can't predict it. But now, like I've been around like moths. I can pick up a moth. As long as it's not flying, I'm not afraid of him. But if he flies, I become afraid again. For a brief moment, I'm afraid. But
It's
I
hard to
don't.
let go of those things that we do to ourselves.
Yes.
You know. Yeah.
Grasshoppers they still terrify me. If I'm caught off guard. If I'm caught off guard, a grasshopper can
So
take my
there's a
wallet.
whole bunch of movies that you should not ever watch.
Well, believe me, there's a bunch of the thing is, I tried to overcome the fears by, like when I was my fear of heights, I went skydiving, so that I could not overcome it as much as face it.
Face it.
I face it, okay?
I have tried that out, by the way. I did not have a fear of heights. And I
You
went
do now. No.
and I went cliff diving. And I jumped on and we were on the Delaware River and we would take canoes down, my cousins and stuff up in Narrowsburg, New York. And we would take canoes down the river, and then we would get to this one area where it was below the rapids, and
Right.
that area was like really, really calm because the water got really, really deep. It got 60 feet deep, and there were sheer
Wow.
cliffs on each side. So we would park the canoes up on the rocks, and we'd climb up on the cliffs and dive in a couple of times, and do some like flips and shit, and then get back into canoes and canoe on the rest of the way down the river, go through some more rapids, and ultimately get out, a couple of towns later. We did this for years as teens and stuff. And then when I was 23 years old, I was I was there again with my cousins and a couple of friends, and we were coming down, and I climbed up on the rocks and I dove into the water, and the water was not 60 feet deep where I hit. I found a outcropping of rock 5 feet under the surface
Ooh.
that I did not know was there. and I had done a beautiful swan dive and landed on my head on the rock. I've got a scar that goes back about that far on my head, and I was fortunate is that I did not fracture my skull. I did not get knocked unconscious. I had the wherewithal somehow to realize my feet were still dry and I could just stand up on the rock, which I did. And now, of course, the water around me is like filling with blood and all this. And my cousin and my friends they're up on the rocks and they're still up on the cliff and they're looking down at me going, so they climb down, they get in the canoe, they come out to the rock. And my friend goes, dude, I can see your skull. I'm like, thanks a lot for throwing me into shock. Get me in the canoe and get me some help. And so ultimately we had to go about 3 miles downriver before we came to any kind of civilization. Pull the canoe up on the shore in some lady's backyard. I'm bleeding out all over the place, and because head wounds bleed.
Oh yeah.
And this woman is like, go away. Like, we need an ambulance. We're hurt. She goes, go away. Like, oh my God, lady, we're not going to hurt you. We need help. I'm going to call the police. Good. Call the police.
And so tell them to bring an ambulance.
Yeah. Finally, they came and took me away. I needed a bunch of stitches, no fracture, very minor concussion. I was really, really lucky. I could have broke my neck. Yeah. I could have been, crippled for life, but I came out of it, not too bad. Many years later, I developed some pinched nerves in my neck that, caused me some issues, but that was like as a result of it, but it was like 30 years later.
Right.
But I developed a fear of heights from that. Now I would go, on the lowest diving board or whatever. I can't do it. I get on a step stool. I can go about that far, but I can't get on like a real ladder because it bothers the hell out of me. And I tried by going skiing and went on a stupid ski lift. Yeah. So after I had to dry my pants out, yeah, I never went back again. So you had a fear of heights. You tried to face it by putting yourself in that predicament. I didn't have a fear of heights. I did something really stupid. I don't have a fear of heights. It's the landing part that I have a fear of. And yes, I had to change my whole perspective. Yeah.
That's my routine now. I learned that I don't have a fear of heights. I have a fear of falling from heights.
Mm-hmm. I have a fear of landing from the falling from heights.
I want to show, because actually we've been almost 2 hours, but I want to
This is amazing. I never expected. Well, I guess I did, because there's something about you. We hit it off, pretty much right away. We have so many things in common.
Yeah, I want to do the second video, which is the sampler. And,
yeah. Okay.
Because again, I invited you on because you're, with I wanted people who do comedy, who may still be very funny, but may not be cut out for stand-up comedy. I want them to give them another option. Motivational speaker and the use of humor and such. Ooh. So, but this sampler, I think there's some samples of the motivational speaking in there.
Yeah, there's a couple. Huh?
Okay.
I think so.
So here we go.
So many changes that happen to our body. You start to worry. Sometimes you feel like you're at the end of your rope. But I know that my body's doing different things. When I was younger and more fit, my body was like a divining rod. What a beautiful woman walked by. As we get older, not so much anymore. That happening to you now, was because I actually was a skinny, scrawny little kid. Before I became this double X Adonis that you see in front of you. All right, come on. Let's be honest, okay? Ever since food has replaced sex in my life, I can't get into my own pants. You said you don't go to your reunions. I didn't used to go, but I had to go to my 40 because I just had to see what happened to people over the years. There were some old people there. One guy looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Oh, God. And I don't understand this, you know. You look at the folks and you go, hey God, how can we be the same age? You know, you just, I don't understand this. And what was cool was that some of these old ladies were hitting on me. And I'm like, but you miss out. Because when I was younger, I was fitter, I had stamina, and you missed your opportunity. I'm old, fat, and married now. But they came on to me because there was more hair on my head than there was collectively in the room. Well, you know, I don't want to pick on the hair thing. You know, I'm fortunate. I still have a good head of hair. You know, I had 3 people at the reunion ask me if I was wearing a rug. So I don't know if it's good that I have hair at this age or not. But I've got good genes. They just don't fit anymore.
Now, there was somebody, when you mentioned the thing about the hair, somebody says you had to go there, didn't you?
yeah. He had a receding hairline.
It's because I have, you can probably tell I have quite a bit of hair. And the guy who does my hair, I told him, I said, whatever you do, do not let happen to me what happened to Stevie Wonder. Because Stevie Wonder had dreads and he started going bald and like nobody told him and he's still like trying to wear his dreads and it's like his hairline was now
pulling
back
him
here.
too tight for so many years.
Yeah, I don't want that. I said, he goes, no, you're fine, you're fine. I said, why is it like him going bald? He says, well, because you have a lot of gray hair and also the parts between the gray hair, it makes my scalp more visible. Now, what most people don't realize is that gray hair is not gray hair. It's actually clear. It's just follicles without any color at all. Now, the question is, where does the color go? Because if you can see, I have not cut my hair in quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at a picture of me from like 5 years ago, this is all dark. This is all dark. And somewhere, it's not like I was washing my hair and I saw this brown color come out in the sink. You know, it's like, no. So where did the color go? Where is it? You know, so my theory is that my skin sucked it back up, and it comes out as moles. So like I have a brown mole that's actually full of the color that came from my hair.
That's what happened with my beard, then, huh?
Yeah. The color just got sucked back up into your skin, and now it's a mole.
It's a mole somewhere. Yeah, I got a bunch of those now too.
That's my theory because I got more moles as I got less brown hair. So that's my theory. I don't know that it's right, but it's mine.
Yeah, I had a little fun with those things that we had done there, those various things. But you saw the style of the humor that I use. I try to, like I said, it's self-deprecating humor and talk about the fact that, you know, yes, I'm certainly not the 5'3", 110-pound kid I was. You know, I'm not that much taller. I'm only 5'6" now. I did go up to 5'8" when I was in the Navy, when I first joined the Navy. But now, as I've put on weight, gravity has taken over and it's drawn me back down to about 5'6".
Yeah, I think at my height, my maximum was 5'8.5", and I think I'm back down to 5'7" or no. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
You know, it happens, right? But I tell people I'm not out of shape because round is still a shape.
That's right.
and the scientists, physicists have said that the most perfect shape in the universe is the sphere.
Yes.
So as I'm aging, I'm getting closer and closer to perfection.
Yes.
So
that's science. You can't argue with science.
No.
Unless you're a flat earther.
That's right. I tell people, you know, sometimes I get depressed because, you know, we're at the age where you start losing people. And, you know, I recently lost my best friend because I can't find my penis.
Now, speaking of losses,
I look down in the shower and he's gone, man. It's not like it used to be.
Now, your father died at the age of 58.
58. Mm-hmm.
And you're 66. I'd asked you before, how did it feel when you got past the age that your father had reached? So now you know that your father you're at a number that your father never reached. Now your
Yeah.
mother lived a lot longer, but you
Yeah,
know.
she made it to 85, but no, I know it's my brother and I both consider, every day to be a blessing, that we're still able to be here. And we try to watch our health. And we joke about we both have weight problems, and we joke about them, but we also realize too that, well, I don't want to go through life limiting the experiences of life because I'm worried about being overweight or worried about, whatever. I'm going to do the things I need to do to be healthy and to enjoy the life that I have, but I want to be able to enjoy the life.
But that's
So many
also
people are
like a
motivated. They're motivated to work out and go to the gym and all this stuff and go biking and all these exercise things, go running. I never was motivated to run. I grew up in Brooklyn, man. You don't run in Brooklyn. All
unless
right.
you're being chased.
Right. You sprint, right? It's,
Yeah.
it's the nearest, go to the nearest fire escape up over the rooftop, look for some place to ambush or hide. You don't run distance. When I joined the Navy and they said, we want you to run a mile and a half, and then they changed it to 3 miles. I was like, why? There's no ship that's that long. And so I never really was motivated to do those kinds of things. I'm motivated by bacon. I'm motivated by the flavor of food. I'm motivated by the ability to be able to enjoy the moments of life.
Now, and in doing that, you are like paying an homage to your father, because
Absolutely.
your father's advice to you was to experience everything life has to offer,
Yeah,
and learn
absolutely.
something new every day.
Learn
Now,
something new every
the
day.
learning something new every day, you can be very literal about that, but does it matter if it's useful as long as you learn something?
Hey, even if you learn, I should not do that again. That's something that I've learned, right? Whatever it is. But so so one of my favorite sayings of all time comes from Esther Dixon, and she said, "Always make new mistakes."
Mm.
And I love that. That is such a brilliant perception in just a few words to understand what life is about. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Try stuff, take risks, but learn from it and then make a new mistake.
My friend of mine, he was my keyboard player back when we were a band, and he had a, a refrain in the song, and the refrain goes, "Mistake and error are the disciplines through which we advance."
There you go.
And I thought my friend was he was so wise. I said, "Doug, that is so smart. That is so wise." He goes, "I got it from a fortune cookie." Hi, I'm GD Fenderson, certified forensic humorist and host of Done Way Past Funny. Thank you for watching our continued interview with motivational speaker John Verrico. And please come back to watch more of our interview with John Verrico. And when you come back to join us, bring a friend.